Good Monday afternoon, guys. My name is Jerry Miller. Welcome to the I Love CVille show. We're live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille network. Today's show is a good one. Thank you kindly for joining us. I can't believe it's, November 2nd? I mean, just shocking to be already in November. The back half of this year has been flying, folks. A lot we're going to cover on today's program. We got the real estate numbers that are out for Q3 across Charlottesville, Albaro, and the Central Virginia region. The governor has okayed and green-lighted sports at the public school level, which will start in the Commonwealth in December. A lot of twists and turns to get a lot of prep athletes back on the field, on the court. And we'll outline those twists and turns, but December, kids around Central Virginia will be playing sports at the public school level again. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Is the jump ball and the face-off in lacrosse, the jump ball in basketball, and the face-off or the draw in lacrosse being eliminated from sports due to COVID-19. That topic on today's program. We'll talk about a mall in Roanoke, the mall for Roanoke, Virginia, filing for bankruptcy. If there's a theme of today's show, it's bankruptcy left and right. Friendly's is filing for bankruptcy. AMC's movie theater chain filing for bankruptcy or fighting off bankruptcy. The mall owner in Roanoke filing for bankruptcy. Left and right, we're seeing the impacts of COVID-19, but there are some positives we're going to cover on today's program. Mike Cubbage, the Charlottesville legend, the guy who won a World Series ring with the Washington Nationals. Mike Cubbage, one of the most standout athletes in Virginia, in Central Virginia history. He has announced his retirement. We'll talk about that on the program. He proudly lives on the, what hole would that be? So 5. He probably lives on the second hole in Glenmore. He's got a fantastic home on the second home in Glenmore. We'll talk about Mike Cubbage. We'll let you know about one of the greatest athletes to come through Central Virginia and how he won a World Series ring on today's program. We'll give some love to Interstate Pest and Service Companies. Judah Wickhauer, a home's best friend. Interstate Pest and Service Companies really making a positive impact in this community for generations of business. Do you have that DCH TV spot accessible, Judah? Any of the new DCHs, the Dominion Custom Homes?
Let me check.
We'll play that before the interview so we can prep for the interview. But I want to lead with the first story, and this is from the governor's office. And let me know when you check that, if you could, my friend. The governor, look at the screen here. The governor of Virginia signed an amendment which allows Virginia public school sports to begin in December. So I like seeing this. As someone who's very active, loves sports, grew up playing team sports, still plays a lot of team sports and activities today. I love seeing the kids, being around other kids and playing a sport that they love. These guys, so few of these have aspirations of playing college or have the ability to play in college. They're doing this for the love of a game they enjoy doing and for being around their friends. The governor has now given an approval in December for the Virginia High School League and its 318 member schools to proceed with its championship +1 schedule, which he signed as an executive order this past Friday. Now, here are some wrinkles that are happening because of COVID-19. More on this later on the show, but I want to tease them now. As part of the wrinkles, as part of the COVID protocols, they are doing away with the draw or the face-off in boys lacrosse. Okay? So it's going to alternate possession. The team that got scored on in lacrosse is going to get the ball at midfield with 5 yards of grace around them to start with the ball. But the opening face-off, the opening draw to start off the game is going to be a coin toss. Same with the jump ball in basketball. Do you realize the jump ball in basketball due to COVID-19 at the Virginia High School League public school level, they are taking that away to help with COVID-19 because they thought people are too close. Look, I get you're being cautious, but the jump ball is... How is that any different than people banging for position under the board to try to rebound a basketball throughout the entire game? Sure, you're removing the jump ball, but people are still getting possession under the hoop and in the paint. And the face-off, yes, you're removing one instance where two guys are going toe-to-toe at a face-off and a draw, but they're still banging in front of the cage. They're still rubbing and they're still hitting and still going after it. More on that later on the show. Regardless, the news to start the broadcast, a little bit of glimmer, a little bit of hope and positivity. Virginia High School League will start public school sports, and it's 318 public schools, 318 members in December of this year. So that's like 30 days. Seriously, November 2nd. How about that? Now let's get to our second story. It's from real estate. I will bring this up with the distinguished gentleman, Keith Smith. Barbara Lundgren, thank you for sharing. We appreciate you. Rick Cato, thank you for getting involved with this program. We love you too. The CAAR Q3 report is out. And the numbers, amazing. I mean, red hot from a real estate standpoint. Sales activity in the CAAR regional housing market rebounded in the summer following a slowdown in the spring. There were 1,447 sales across the Charlottesville, Albemarle area region in the third quarter. 10% more sales in the third quarter this year versus Q3 2019. 10% more sales in Q3 2020 versus Q3 2019. That's according to CAAR, straight from their Q3 report. Home prices. How about this? Home prices climbing in the CAAR footprint. You want to know how much they've climbed year over year? Third quarter 2020 versus third quarter 2019. They're up 7% home prices. The median sales price was basically $327,000. Okay? This is the impact of COVID. People wanting more space, wanting more flexibility, people from densely populated urban environments with big bags of money, large salaries, and a heck of a lot of cash after selling their home, flooding markets like Charlottesville and Central Virginia, driving up the cost of real estate. 7% Q3 2019 versus Q3 2020. Homes went up 7%. So for every $100,000 in value, you got $7K more in 2020 versus 2019. If you got a $400,000 house, you're looking at $28,000 bump. $500,000 house, $35,000 bump. $600,000 house, $42,000 bump. You get what I'm saying? If you have a house that is $700,000 year over year, you're sitting on roughly $50K more now than you did at this time in 2019. Home values up. The affordability index down. On top of that, with a shrinking amount of listings that we have in Charlottesville and Central Virginia, it is undoubtedly a seller's market right now. It's getting more expensive to live in this place, guys. And it's no question about it. Now, a couple of things you have going for you is all-time low interest rates. All-time low interest rates give buyers a little more purchasing power. But when home prices go up, when home values increase 7% year over year, you pause and you think. You think, how sustainable is this? If we keep increasing at this kind of clip, is it healthy? And if we don't get more listings, we were down 47% listings according to CAAR Q3 year over year. If we don't get even more listings, this trend's going to continue. And if it continues, it'll be unhealthy. And we'll talk about that with Keith Smith, the distinguished gentleman, in about 15 minutes on today's program. A couple of more items out of the notebook that I want to get to. Mike Cubbage is retiring. Mike Cubbage, 70 years old. This man last served as a special assistant to the general manager, Mike Rizzo, of the Washington Nationals. This guy got a World Series ring. His contract expired on Saturday, Halloween. On Sunday, yesterday, Mike Cubbage said, I'm done. He's 70 years old. He's Charlottesville, Virginia guy. I mean, he is as Charlottesville gets. He played baseball and football for the UVA Cavaliers. Okay? His cousins, Larry Haney and Chris Haney, played in the major leagues. I mean, this dude is the epitome of Charlottesville, Virginia. A former third baseman in the major leagues, a coach and a manager in the major leagues, a longtime scout, Mike Cubbage, without much fanfare, without much look at me or attention, on Sunday, in a nondescript, very laid-back way, said, I'm retiring from professional baseball. He lives on the second hole, the second green in Glenmore, and when asked by the Richmond Times-Dispatch, what are you going to do? Mike Cubbage said, I'm shopping for a golf cart right now. That's how he said it. So my cap is tipped. We give him a round of applause. To a man that has represented Charlottesville, Virginia, the University of Virginia, multiple Major League Baseball teams, and many friends and family in our region with class, character, integrity, and just doing things the right way. We salute you, Michael Cubbage, on just a phenomenal career in professional baseball. Next headline from Roanoke, Virginia. Get it on screen. Another mall is falling and falling fast. The owner of Roanoke's Valley View Mall has filed for bankruptcy. Valley View Mall, Roanoke's premier property, has filed for bankruptcy. The owner of the mall is a Chattanooga, Tennessee-based company. It announced today that it filed for Chapter 11. The company's going to try to reorganize. This trend is going to, and I'm going to add this to one of my crystal ball predictions at the end of the show. Malls and bankruptcy. Guys, I'm not trying to be negative in any means. But November, December, January, and February, if they don't go really green and really positive with the holiday and Christmas shopping season, you're going to see in the next 60 to 90 days big brands declare bankruptcy. I mean, look at what's happening right now. Put up Friendly's. Friendly's restaurant filing for, you know how many memories I have with my mom, my dad, and my brother over a Friendly's Reese's ice cream sundae? Like, we used to go get pizza before the movies and then Friendly's after the movies. I get a Reese's Cup sundae from Friendly's. It's filing for bankruptcy. How about AMC? Put AMC on screen. AMC is trying to sell $50 million in stock to raise capital to fight off bankruptcy. AMC is the world's largest movie theater chain. It said it needs to raise $50 million by selling its stock. Class A, 20 million shares of its stock to raise $50 million in capital. If it does not do this, AMC has warned investors it's on the brink of bankruptcy. So let me understand something. Are you back on me here? This is what AMC is telling us. AMC is legitimately telling us this is the world's largest movie theater chain. The world's largest movie theater chain. AMC is saying if we don't raise $50 million by selling these 20 million Class A shares, we're going to go bankrupt. Who is going to invest in a company that is straight up saying, if we don't sell our company, a portion of our company, we're going to go to bankrupt very, very soon, when you know there's a freaking pandemic going on and people are afraid to sit in a movie theater with strangers, without windows, breathing the same air? This company ain't going to survive. We need to sell $50 million. We need to raise $50 million or we're going to go bankrupt. Please, please, please buy our stock. That's what they're saying. The trend is going to continue, and I'm not trying to be negative, but this is clearly what's happening with winter. We have to brace ourselves. We hear the Game of Thrones analogy, winter is coming. You're seeing the cases spike. We know this pandemic is much more aggressive in cold months, and those are just facts. Friendly's, AMC, the mall in Roanoke, Virginia. More to come. I mean, I'm not even going to highlight on this program, because I don't want to embarrass anybody, the evictions that are happening in Albemarle County. It's public record. You can find it online. evictions that are happening, landlords having to use the court system because local businesses are so far behind on their rent, they're now having to use the courts to get the tenants out. And if you search online, you'll find a lot of brands that you realize you know, you frequent, you support, and you patronize. UGG. AMC stock, as of 12/20 today, was selling for $2.26 a share. Good night. Look at what it was trading at before the pandemic. Holy cow. Holy cow. Give the show a like and a share. Andy Wilfong, welcome to the broadcast. Aaron King, que pasa, chica? Aaron King, you, me, Justin Butler to get together for a brainstorming session soon, Aaron King. Andre Xavier, welcome to the show. Thank you kindly for joining us. Neil Williamson, I love when you're on this program and sharing the show. Give me some perspective, Neil. You got a big, beautiful brain. Make the show better by sharing that talent that you got between those ears, that big, beautiful brain, Neil Williamson. Give me something to talk about over here. The trend is not going to get better. And this is nuts to say. But we're seeing some top players in the food and beverage space going straight for food trailers and food trucks. The next 90 to 120, 150 days, call it the next 3 to 5 months, is the way you're going to survive in the F&B space, is the way you're going to survive the food truck or trailer game where you're bringing the food to people outside. You set up in a neighborhood, you set up at a park, you set up at a high traffic area, and you let people take it to go and bring it home? I mean, I woke up this morning in eastern Albemarle County, and my thermometer said 31 degrees. 31 degrees. I mean, is the way you're going to survive over the next 90 to 150 days bringing food to people and saying, people take this food immediately to your house because you're not going to sit outside? I hope not. Friendly's bankrupt, Roanoke Valley Mall bankrupt, AMC almost bankrupt. And there was a list of 6 or 7 others that I could have easily brought to you. Give the show a like and a share. Iris Luck, welcome to the broadcast. Sean Wick, Jahid Ul Islam, welcome to the broadcast. Thank you kindly for liking the show and being a part of it. 6 different states watching the program as we speak, and Mike Cobbage getting some props here. This is what we need to happen, okay? I don't talk national politics on this show because it's entirely too, it just elicits 50% of the people are going to be angry and 50% of the people are going to be lukewarm about what you got to say. I don't talk national politics. But Wednesday, Thursday, it might be even longer because we're not sure how long these ballots are going to take to count. But once this election's behind us, I'm hoping the market volatility that we're seeing on Wall Street. I mean, on Friday, we personally, close to 5 figures loss. That much market volatility with Wall Street. Okay, today we're up, but marginally. The volatility is ridiculous. The news cycle is highlighting cases and hospitalizations. And the thought is, once this election is finished, that news cycle still will highlight COVID, but that news cycle then shifts to more of a management of the pandemic, highlighting the ubiquitous nature of rapid tests and the fact that they're becoming much more approachable and readily available. And the news cycle after the election is over, also potentially highlighting the companies that are working and getting close to a vaccine. And if that happens, the news cycle talking more management, more rapid tests, and the fact that we're getting closer and closer to a vaccine, maybe that creates more marketplace consumer confidence, more confidence with consumers. Only time's going to tell. But the bankruptcies are going to happen. it is do you feel this way? I don't know if you feel this way, and I don't like feeling this way. Each day you wake up and you're like, what am I going to read today? What am I going to hear today? A pandemic and an election all at the same time, and two candidates that are polarizing as all get out. Let's put it that way. We'll talk some crystal ball predictions, guys, at the bottom of the show. We'll talk UVA snapping a 4-game losing streak and Brennan Armstrong leading this team to victory. A coming out game for the redshirt sophomore gunslinger, the southpaw, a coming out game. He runs with toughness, Armstrong. He looks for contact, and he's the clear-cut leader of this football team, as many quarterbacks are. We'll talk Trevor Lawrence, no longer the Heisman Trophy favorite, and COVID is eliminating the jump ball in basketball in high school sports and the face-off in lacrosse and Virginia high school sports as well. A lot we're going to cover on the show. I'm going to reach out to the distinguished gentleman, Keith Smith, now. I want to talk that Q3 CAAR report. Before we do, you got that DCH spot ready to go? You know what? We'll save that for after the distinguished gentleman, unless I give you a 3, 2, 1 count, my friend. In fact, you know what? I'm proud of that commercial. We'll get to it in a second. Keith Smith's on the line. Keith, my friend, you're looking sharp. How are you?
Thank you, bro. Thank you, brother. All I got to say is more Batman and Robin.
Oh, man, I got so much feedback. I was driving around with my Batman, which was my son, and my wife, which was Catwoman, and ample people saying, dude, I saw you and Keith having a good time on Friday's show. I mean, that was so much fun. How was your weekend, my friend?
It was good. A little wet on Saturday or Sunday, I think it was. But anyway, it was a good weekend. You know, if I was doing any better, it'd be illegal. I'll tell you, my little heart sunk to my stomach when I heard about Friendlies. Because much like you, I'm a bit of a mama's boy. I love my mama. And I remember fond memories as a kid growing up. We would go out to Friendlies, and you know, this was back in the day when like Disney movies were out, you know, and we would go out and see a Disney movie and go to Friendlies and share this huge, I don't even remember the name of it, but there's this huge, you know, 40 pounds of ice cream that we would sit there and eat. And I remember we were fortunate enough to bring my parents down to the Caribbean in one of our visits, and that's what my mother and I did. We sat down in the Caribbean watching the Caribbean and ate ice cream. So my heart's a little sad at the moment to hear about Friendlies going, but you know, it seems to be the trend.
What do you throw? I'll throw this to you. You've been in business for what, 3 decades? In some capacity, 3 decades plus. What do you predict?
3 decades. Yeah.
What do you predict are the ones that survive, that come on out of it here? Let's talk about the food and beverage space there. El Mariachi is in a phenomenal location. You help make that happen in Zion's Crossroads, and I think they have a lot of factors going for them, and that they have very little competition in that region. They have outside space, which is beneficial, and Johnny and his brother had so much experience running the Guadalajara that they knew the value proposition of curbside, of takeout, and having a very good digital and online presence. On top of that, Keith, they have the novelty working for them, which is helping them really be gangbusters. This is the question. I think and you probably agree, the anomaly when it comes to F&B businesses during COVID and not the norm here. Your thoughts, anywhere you want to go on this topic?
You know, you've just outlined all the reasons why. I had a conversation with them over the weekend. Their takeout business supersedes their in-dining. So, I mean, they're more going out. And it's a very unique location, an absolute need. We talked about this before. It took us 3 years to get from the point of, hey, this is a good idea, to actually serving folks. So, it blew my mind. You and I were at the soft open, and I leaned over to my wife and I went, I've been pushing this for 3 years. I hope this works. And they are outproducing their city facilities. So it just, that happens to be the right place at the right time, and I'm not sure that would be a litmus test of how everybody else does. I think the food space is, takeout is going to be king, I think. I've been trying to go visit our dear friend Vincent Zorn to play over at the Bebedero, and I can't do that because it's constantly booked out because they're only doing, I think, 50% or 30% or whatever it is. So we have to pull some strings and see if we can get a VIP spot or something, just so I can watch my buddy play guitar and drink a couple of margaritas, maybe two, two margaritas.
Did you see the Dogwood restaurants for sale?
I did, and that's not too surprising. The particular owners have owned it for 20 some odd years, so I think this is not a COVID thing. It's more of a retirement thing. Is my thing. But I tell you what, this is a scary thing. You know more about this stuff than I do. I should be learning from you.
Well, like you,
we got the scoop on everything.
Like you, we both have our ears to the ground. It's one of our strengths is the people we know. 7% year over year increase in home values. Q3 2019 versus Q3 2020, 7% increase. Median sales price for our region now about $327,000 a house. This according to the Q3 CAAR report that was just released. Keith Smith, my friend, I learned from you. Anywhere you want to go on this report.
So there's a couple of series of numbers that are most important to me, that what I keep a look at, the ones that we constantly talk about. You kind of covered in your intro to this, but there's a couple of numbers that are very super telling here. List price received. So this is, I listed for $1. How much did I receive? That number, it may not sound huge, but it is in reality. It jumped from 97.7 to 98.7. So it's 1 percentage point up. So basically, people are getting very close to 100% of their list price. We talk about it on our show all the time. I think part of that is because they're using trusted advisors to help them get there. That's something we talk all the time about. An interesting stat that you didn't mention is the inventory for homes for sale. So this is quarter to quarter, right? Quarter in 2020 versus quarter in 19. 512 versus 1,046. That's double. Well, not quite double, but close enough. That's double. So in 2019, there were double homes in inventory than there is today. And this goes to this point that we're constantly talking about inventory. And then the last number that us real estate geeks really take a look at, months of supply of inventory. That jumped down from 4.2 in 19 to 1.9. So we basically got 2 months of inventory. So to put an example to why that number is so important, let's assume nothing else came on the market in theory by statistics. In 2 months, we'd have no houses for sale. Everything would be gone.
All right, I got a toughest question I'm going to ask you then. And I love this guy. This guy is super bright. He gives us the real estate no down, the Yes Team Realtors, Keith and Jonas Smith. But yes, you.
You got the right guy?
Dude, and I know you so well. This is what I know. I know you so well. This is what happened. See, that's his new iPhone right there. And what he wanted to do was he brought out his iPod. He made sure, the tripod, he made sure to get it in the picture because he knew I was going to be jealous of this phone and I was going to bring it up. See, I know how this man thinks right here. All right, this is the
color, the awesome color.
It looks good, dude. Yep. It's you now have a nicer phone than me. For a long time, I had the nicer phone than you. You now have a nicer phone. All right, your phone is nicer than mine, Keith. That's what he really wanted to see. All right, here's the question I have for you is.
We'll pick up on this tomorrow.
Do you think this is a healthy market? Straight question for you. Do you think this is a healthy market?
Wow, that's a great question. It's an interesting one. It's not as easy to answer as you would think it would be. And I don't want to sound like a politician and not actually answer the straightforwardness of it. But, from the heart and honest, look, it's not a balanced market. A balanced market is a healthy market. And when you have 1.9 months of inventory, that's not good. So depending on who you talk to, most people think, 3 months, it kind of goes from a seller's market to a buyer's market, right? So if we have over 3 months of inventory, then the buyers have a little bit more control. The sellers. I got that right. The buyers have a little bit more control. But this is not a normal market. None of these numbers are normal by any stretch of the imagination. So what I think is we really kind of have a balanced market because of the interest rates, and we talk about this on the show all the time. So because of this increase, this almost if you look at the average sales price versus the median, it's really up over 15.5%, not 13%. But the thing is when you're down at 3% and so forth and so on with the interest rate, I disagree with you a little bit. That is what drives the affordability index, not necessarily the price. Now, as soon as that interest rate goes up, then that's all bets are off, and then you're going to see that inventory go from 1.9. I mean, we got a lot of work to do to get up to that 3 to 4 month, switch over in the market. But did I answer it? Did I do a good job?
Yeah, no, you answered it. This question's coming in. You did. You answered. Yeah, let's look at these shiny things over here. This is coming from Chris.
Okay, for you, I'll do this, okay?
This is coming from Chris, who's watching in Crozet. Jerry, ask your guest who he thinks or where he thinks 2021 is going to pop. I know he's high on Fluvanna and Zion's Crossroads, but where else does he think is going to pop next year?
Well, if you take a deeper dive into the report, I think you're going to see everything. I don't think you're going to see one county or one location explode more than others. We talked about this on Friday, or Batman and Robin actually talked about this on Friday. That the numbers really exploded on the other side of the mountain. I'm going to see that continuing, unless, and I think we talked about this, unless gas goes up to $3.50, $4 a gallon. But I think your answer to the cost effect of EVs might offset that. But so I think the big picture, you're going to see the outsiding areas growing up, Fluvanna, Greene, Nelson, that kind of thing, and the other side of the mountain. But you're even seeing that, we talk about this all the time, even in Nelson County. Hold on a second here, I got it here. Nelson County only has a 2.9 month inventory. So they're kind of right at that balance, traditional balanced number. But everybody else is, Greene County, 1.4 months inventory. Believe it or not, Charlottesville, 1 month inventory.
Man, that's nuts.
Albemarle County is a little high, 2.7. Fluvanna County, 1.1. So those inventory numbers is answering Chris's question. These Albemarle, Fluvanna, Greene, Nelson's a little on the high area. And then if we were to look at the report for the other side of the mountain, I bet you're going to see somewhere between a 1 and 2 month inventory. So hopefully that answered the question.
That answered the question. Your thoughts on tomorrow's show, my friend? What do you have planned?
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about. We just talked about inventory and lack of sales, and does renovating your house make sense before you put it on the market? And if so, what areas should we do so we can get the most ROI back on it? So I'm really looking forward to it. I do want to talk about a bet for a second.
Please.
We got time to do that?
Yeah.
So total, our bet for everybody knows we're looking at second quarter 2019. So that we know this, total sales was a flat 1,000. There were 15 days on market, and the average sale price, this was in 2019, was 323. At what we currently have now, closed October 1 to date, is 344. There's 537 in pending. Ooh. That's a total of 881. So
I'm not looking good here. Even though 881 versus 1,000, that's a drop of 119. The price per unit is up in 2020, so it closed the delta for total sales volume.
Yeah, well, we won't know that until we run the numbers on that. But the inventory number, the closed sales number, I think I might get you on that. The other two, maybe not so much. But.
So you're saying you're going to beat me on total volume sales, Q4 2020 total volume sales, not including new construction.
Not included.
2020 Q4 total volume compared to Q2 2019. Q4 is going to be better, but but it's not going to go that way for total units sold and days on market.
So you and I will know by the end of November how this is going to chime out, because
Okay.
whatever's impending in November or mid-November, somewhere around November 15th, if the what's closed and the pending exceeds 1,000 by 100 units or something like that, or 50 units, then I think I got this. But if it isn't, then I think I owe you a bottle of bourbon.
I can't. Well, I will share it with you. Final question. You, the forward-thinking man. This is going to be a tough question. I'm putting you on the spot here. You, the forward-thinking guy here. What business category or industry do you see emerging or booming going into 2021? Coming out of this winter thing, we get closer to a vaccine. We got the rapid test coming out. We think 2021 is going to be a strong year. We all do. What category or industry do you see booming or emerging because of COVID, coming out of COVID?
Man, I don't know if I can answer that question. I will tell you, my recovering developer and builder brain about the malls were spinning around, because there's an excellent development opportunity, right? Do very like what they did in Seattle and some of these other states, where they convert them into multi-purpose or mixed use between commercial, what they call live work. So, it's hard to say. I'm confident that the real estate industry and the building industry is going to stay solid, and all its associated businesses together. But I don't know. I mean, you've been talking retail's kind of going to be tough, but I think they're just going to have to adapt. How many things that do you physically go into stores and buy, or do you do Amazon now?
I buy local when I can, but when I am unable to, I have it on my doorstep.
That's what I do. We do the same thing. We're going physically, but we always support local businesses. But you're going to see some of these bigger chains. I think what I think the prediction might be, I may be wrong. What you're going to see is some of these bigger chains kind of either going away or pivoting, and I think you might see the resurgence of the mom and pop or the smaller store. This is just unscientific. This is just my gut telling me, because I'd rather go in a small store, get serviced, have everybody protected, and go ahead and do it. The big stuff that I want to get in Best Buy, I'll just order it on Amazon and it gets delivered.
So you're basically saying you think people are going to have online fatigue, and once we get to a vaccine or we have this under control, because of that online fatigue, they're going to be much more into the in-person experience than ever before.
I just think high-quality service is always going to win. We see this in the real estate business. We talk about this, right, on our new super-duper iPhone, right? This is a great tool to search. This is a great tool to get it done. This is a great tool to use Zillow and all this great stuff. But at the end of the day, this needs to get put down, because the requirement to navigate the process, you need a trusted advisor to do that. So I'm going to, that's what I see. That's when I'm going to go buy clothes instead of ordering online. I'm going to physically go to some place to buy a new suit, and I'm going to be masked up. I'm going to expect them to be masked up, and we're going to provide service on it. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just kind of what I'm seeing.
Interesting. My friend, I will see you tomorrow. I always enjoy the show, 10:15, Real Talk on the I Love CVille Network, 10:15 a.m., presented by the Yes Team Realtors. Catch you tomorrow, Keith. You have a good one.
You guys are my buddies. I appreciate everything you guys do. Thank you so much.
Hey, Keith, right back at you, man. Mean it. Take care.
Bye.
See you, buddy. Good guy right there. Good guy. That's interesting. That is interesting. Are people going to be more into the in-person experience after this because of fatigue from only digital throughout 2020 and early into 2021? That's interesting. Or does the digital that's happening in 2020 and early 21, does that digital change human behavior for humans then saying this is how it's going to be done because we've been doing it for the last year and we made it work, so we're going to continue doing it? That is an interesting crossroads question. Does the COVID fatigue drive momentum behind the in-person experience because people are tired of digital? Or does the digital we've been doing throughout this year because of COVID, has that been enough time to change human behavior moving forward? That is an interesting question. What are your thoughts on that topic? Put it in the feed. I'll give that one some thought. I mean, I'm more inclined to think that the last, March to now, and it's probably going to be March 2020 to March 2021, I'm inclined to think that the year of using digital is going to change human and social behavior, especially as the millennial and younger customer base has grown up in this smartphone, social media, tech sophisticated mindset. I mean, I'm an older millennial, and I've pretty much grown up in a social media world. And I'm an older millennial. Folks younger than me undoubtedly have. And this year has only put tailwinds behind digital, social, and mobile experiences. I mean, look at what we're doing here. I'm curious of your thoughts on that topic. The 7%, this is the question I asked. Is it a healthy real estate market? So many unique factors. You have historically low interest rates. You have historically low inventory levels. You have real estate values appreciating 7% Q3 2019 versus Q3 2020. I mean, these are some big-time statistics here. A 7% increase in home values in a year? Let's add some of that to the crystal balls predictions at the end of the show. I want to talk sports and UVA's 44-41 win over number 15 UNC. Jude, if you can get that on screen, the Wahoos improved to 2-4 on the season. I mean, Brennan Armstrong, say what you want about the guy. He may not throw the best ball. You know what I'm saying? He may not throw the best football, but this kid is tough. I mean, he's like less quarterback and more like physical H-back, tight end, or like, big receiver almost. He's initiating contact with people. And against North Carolina, many times he was the best player on the field, and he was going against the quarterback in Sam Howell, who's a professional gunslinger who will play on Sundays. Thompson, the transfer, who's supposed to play quarterback, who's now playing all over the field, the guy who converted the fake punt and got the first down at the end of the game, that dude is a baller. Thompson is a baller. And Bronco Mendenhall to call that fake punt at the end of the game, that took cojones. Because if that doesn't go Broncos' way, he gets ripped on Sunday and Monday. Virginia is 2-4, a big-time win, a marquee win over a 15-ranked UNC football team. And now you're looking at a UNC team that is maybe statistically out of the ACC championship. Remember, the Tar Heels and Notre Dame play on December 12th. The ACC championship is on December 19th. The two teams in the ACC championship will be determined by winning percentage. Notre Dame and Clemson have not lost. And North Carolina now falls 2 games behind Notre Dame in the loss column. Win percentage determines the championship in the ACC. And Clemson got a scare against Boston College. And speaking of Clemson, Trevor Lawrence, get it on screen. Trevor Lawrence not only missing the Boston College game, but he's missing Saturday's Notre Dame clash. Trevor Lawrence, who was a clear-cut favorite to win the Heisman Trophy, now at all the Las Vegas books, no longer the favorite to win this award. He's missing 2 games in a shortened season. One of those games is against Notre Dame, Clemson's key competition in the ACC. Of course, he should not be on the short list for the Heisman Trophy, Trevor Lawrence. He's got COVID, man. Arguably, your number 1 pick in the NFL draft, Trevor Lawrence, who looks like sunshine from Remember the Titans. Dude's got COVID. Misses the Boston College game. Clemson almost loses that game. Down at halftime, have to use a second half rally to win the contest. And now missing the Notre Dame game on Saturday. It's pretty much it's pretty much going to be a 1.0 or a part 1 of the ACC championship. Now Trevor Lawrence no longer your favorite to win the Heisman. Mac Jones at Bama has moved into the Heisman. He's followed closely by Justin Fields at Ohio State. And Virginia Tech, one more item out of the notebook, if you can get that on screen. The Hokies get a 7-point victory over Louisville. Virginia Tech improves to 4-2. Guys, the Hokies, if a couple of things go their way, the Hokies as much in the running for an ACC championship as anyone. Now, they're going to need Notre Dame to get a couple of losses because Notre Dame doesn't have any losses so far. But the Hokies are there. They're in the thick. Now we're really into the meat of the schedule. Now we're really going to see what's up. UVA's got a chance to get a victory here against Louisville to go to 3-4. Props to Bronco and that football team for a job well done against North Carolina. And I teased this earlier in the show. Virginia High School League is starting public school sports in December, and 2 big-time changes to 2 notable sports. Basketball, boys and girls, is not allowing jump balls because of COVID. And lacrosse, boys and girls, is not allowing face-offs or draws because of COVID. And you know what they're trying to do for wrestling? For practices, they're asking wrestlers to pod during practice and to wrestle with 1 or 2 other wrestlers throughout practice for 2 straight weeks. And then after 2 weeks, they can switch and wrestle other guys in practice. I mean, explain to me how you think. I don't want to go down that road. Wrestling, I love all sports. But how does putting kids in pods in practice going to solve the COVID conundrum when they're wrestling against people from other schools, rolling and sweating and lying and breathing on each other? How's that going to work? What is the most dangerous sport to play in COVID-19? It's got to be wrestling. Is that not right? You could make a legitimate argument for football because of the numbers on the roster, the fact that the teams have more players on them, and if you have more players on a roster, you have a greater chance of potentially spreading COVID. Maybe that's a legitimate argument. But what sport is the riskiest for COVID? It's got to be wrestling, right? You are laying on top of people for extended periods of time. How would you feel if you were a mom and dad and your kid is wrestling in COVID? How would you feel? I'm just curious. My kid's 2.5. I don't have to answer this question yet. Save $288 on Ting Fiber Internet due to show them how ilovecville.ting.com gives you the best internet. It's the internet that runs this show. It is the best internet possible. ilovecville.ting.com. You can save $288 on the best internet out there. A couple of crystal ball predictions, and I'm going to make this a much more frequent segment on the show. One of the predictions I'm going to make, and I have this written down here, is I think you're going to see many more restaurants hitting LoopNet, Stu Rifkin's business brokerage, Craigslist, these websites where you can list businesses for sale. I think you're going to see many more of them in the next 30 to 45 days. Splendora's is for sale. The Shebeen is listed for sale. The Shebeen Pub and Bra. The Dogwood Restaurant listed for sale. A big-time restaurant on the UVA corner is for sale. You have to sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, to get that information. A restaurant on the downtown mall listed for sale. You have to sign an NDA for that. You will see more of these, and big brands and mom and pops. Friendly's is filing for bankruptcy. I think you're going to also see a few shopping centers start to go under. Do you realize in New York City what is happening in the Big Apple? In New York City, they're offering to tenants in New York City rent relief programs. But they are not offering at the same clip relief for the landlords. So the tenants get relief from their rent. They don't have to pay the full rent to the landlords in New York City. The landlords need the rents to cover their mortgages on the buildings. The landlords need their tenant rents to upkeep the building. And what's happening in New York City is the taxes are now coming due for the buildings in the Big Apple. The number one driver of revenue for New York City, the municipality, is taxes from real estate. And hundreds of landlords across New York City are saying to government officials in the Big Apple, we do not have the money to pay our taxes to you for real estate. You gave these tenants an opportunity not to pay their full rent. And because we cannot collect our full rent, we cannot pay our taxes to you. So New York City has a serious issue on their hands. You remember this from the 1980s, real estate aficionados? What happened, tenants weren't paying their full rents in the 80s. Because they weren't paying their full rents, landlords couldn't upkeep their buildings, couldn't do day-to-day maintenance on their buildings, or pay their taxes on their buildings, or pay their mortgages to their lenders, to their banks. Eventually, landlords just left their buildings, and they ended up going blight. They ended up getting destroyed, falling apart, and eventually the city repossesses the house, the construction, the building, because they're so far behind on taxes. The problem is local government and local cities do not want to be in the real estate business. They don't want to repo your building. They just want to collect taxes from you. They don't want to upkeep a flat roof. I know all about flat roofs. The Macklin building is a flat roof. A flat roof is brutal. It's expensive. It's hard to upkeep. They don't want to upkeep municipalities' flat roofs. So the next issue we have coming down the pipe, especially on the commercial side, is landlords and taxes and upkeep and mortgages in a day and age when tenants aren't paying their full rent. Follow that closely, because that's coming down the pipe. I think you have potentially a collision, especially in places like New York, where these buildings are so expensive, the taxes are so high, and the upkeep of buildings is so costly. I think you have a potential snowball there of landlords not being able to upkeep their properties or pay their taxes. And eventually you risk them just walking away from the property. And then if they walk away from the property, the city has two choices. Do they repossess it, or do they leave it looking crappy? Follow that story. Get to comments. We'll get to comments on the program here in a matter of moments. Put the comments in the comments section. Andre Xavier, my friend, he says, I am still confident that travel will come back strong on the second quarter of 2021. Everyone is in need of a vacation. So Andre, who I have a lot of respect for on this show, Andre Xavier has proven to me time and time again that he can see down the road. That he's one of those, and number ones at companies, entrepreneurs, especially the number ones, this is what I have to do, is you have to see ahead of where things are going, and then you try to position your business ahead of where things are heading to. Andre can do that. He has the gift of vision. He says, I'm confident that travel will come back strong second quarter of 2021. I hope so, dude. I mean, did you guys see the United Kingdom? Did you guys see that the United Kingdom is now on a lockdown? The United Kingdom is not allowing, is keeping non-essential businesses from running. Seriously. The United Kingdom is keeping non-essential businesses from running right now. On top of that, the government said travel in winter, we're not allowing that. So the travel season in the United K is pretty much nothing now. They're on a national lockdown in England right now. A national lockdown. James Watson, Cruises are probably toast for years with the exception of small high-dollar cruises. Dude, I agree. Andre says cruises will be slow to come back, but they will. You are correct. Smaller cruise ships will do better. What do you feel more comfortable doing? Do you feel more comfortable going to an AMC movie theater to watch the James Bond release with 350 strangers in one room? Or do you feel more comfortable getting on a Carnival cruise in the Caribbean with people you don't know? Good Lord, who's going to do either of those? I mean, which do you feel more comfortable doing? I probably would say the movie theater. James Watson, it depends on the market and the area. Take a trip to Short Pump because of their town center, outdoor design, and they are still busy. What works there, of course, may not work the same in Charlottesville. He's talking about retail and whether retail is dead. See, I'm gonna compare and contrast this Short Pump, James, to Stonefield. Stonefield, of any shopping center in Charlottesville, which shopping center embodies the live, work, play mindset the most? It's Stonefield, right? Stonefield embodies the live, work, play mindset the most. Now, Dairy Market, Dairy Central are soon going to be number one there. But Stonefield's number one. Is Stonefield a success? I don't think is Stonefield a success right now? I mean, if anything, it's the most vulnerable shopping center out there, not named Fashion Scare Mall. Just the rents are so damn high. Owned by a private equity firm outside New York, outside the city. Oh, man. This is what we need, okay? This is what we need in a nutshell. We need this election to get behind us. We need some closure on this freaking election. It needs to get behind us. We need closure. We need to know who the president's going to be. Regardless of your politics, we need the election behind us. The next thing we need is more accessibility to rapid testing. Stage 2, rapid testing, 15-minute results everywhere, $25 or less. Kroger's rolling this out at their pharmacies by the end of November. First retail place to do it in America. Kroger, rapid test, $25, 15 minutes or less, a prick of your finger. Lets you know if you've ever had COVID. And then the third stage we need is the Modernas of the world, the Johnson & Johnsons of the world, whoever it may be, somebody to get us a vaccine. And then we need Americans and people in the world to take the vaccine. That's the path to recovery that's clear to anybody. But next 90 to 120 days? Good night, dogs. And you're right, James. We don't have the population in Short Pump that we do in Stonefield. And that's a huge difference. And he's exactly right about that. He's saying Short Pump is way denser than Stonefield. And that's why Short Pumps is working, where Stonefield's is flopping. He's right about that. The density at Short Pump is huge. Aaron King, I'm down, Jerry. Good decision to keep me away from Justin until the election is over. That's hilarious. We will not talk politics at our meeting, EK. We will have a couple of cold beverages and brainstorm entrepreneurial endeavors, which the three of us very much enjoy doing, Aaron. I'm looking forward to seeing you and Justin. Andy Wilfong, this show has so much to unpack from a viewer standpoint. Simply typing a single comment or question isn't enough. I love to see you do a live Q&A with an open panel. Ooh, tell me more about that, Andy Wilfong. I'd love to see you do a live Q&A with an open panel. Are you thinking the Q&A, Andy Wilfong, would be me? Judah, are we able to somehow get guests, people that are watching the show or listening to the show, are we somehow able to get them on the show for, say, a minute for them to offer their take on the show?
Skype.
Can we not do it through Facebook? We'll look into it. What I'm basically saying is, how sweet would it be? Andre's got a great point, or Andy's got a great point, or Carol Thorpe's got a great point, and we patch them through into the show to make their point as opposed to topping a comment. That could be pretty dope.
Skype.
So they have to put their Skype ID in the feed for it to work? Is that how?
Or Skype you.
What happens if I, let me do this. I'm going to try it right now, literally on the feed, on the show. If this has any impact whatsoever, okay? I'm going to Keith. No, you're right. I can't do it. I can video chat. I'm video chatting Keith right now through Facebook Messenger. Let's see what happens right now. Can you tell on your end that I'm video chatting Keith through Facebook Messenger right now? Judah?
On my end? No.
Yeah.
How would I be able to tell that you were video chatting?
All right, we need to figure that out. We'll figure that out. I would love, Andy knows what's up. All right, I'll reach out to you about that, Andy. Is that kind of what you were thinking, Andy? Having guys on the show that are leaving comments? Dude, I'm always down if you guys have ways to improve this program. And I have thought about doing kind of like a Russian roulette or like, invite you guys on if you have perspective to share on the program. Say, I'll put you on the clock for 30 seconds or 60 seconds. And in that 60-second period, you, the viewer, you, the listener, can come on the show visually and audio and visual-wise, and offer your take. And then I would do a hard stop. I would say 45 seconds, cut. But you can make a lot of points in 45 seconds. And it would take the comments that are being put in the feed and make them a heck of a lot more dynamic. Because he's right. And sometimes, guys, you know how challenging it is for me, literally, to Skype someone from this computer, keep my train of thought on what I'm talking about, and then read somebody's comment while I'm delivering perspective? It is so difficult. It is so difficult to do. It is so difficult to do. Andy, that's a good idea. That is a good idea, my friend. Give me more perspective. I appreciate that. I'm going to give Andy Wolfong some props. That would be dope if we did that. All right, I got to get out of here. The I Love CVille Daily Digest is at 5 o'clock today. It's all your news in 5 minutes or less, 5 days a week at 5 o'clock, presented by Ting Fiber Internet. We'll give Scotty Wagner some love. Dr. Scott Wagner for Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine. Who's got your back? Dr. Wagner has your back. Chiropractic care, physical therapy, sports medicine. Scott Wagner is the man. He is the man, and he's changing people's lives. Someone tell Scott Wagner we gave him some props for that. We have a life coach on tomorrow's broadcast, don't we, Judah?
Yes, nutrition.
A nutritionist? Oh, man. Andy, I like this idea. This is what he says. Just an hour Q&A or a sideshow or another show. It could be called Ask Jerry Miller Anything. You could use StreamYards. It will give you a link to put in the chat, and anyone could click it. The viewer does not need any software. Interesting. We'll try it. Andy, I like it. I like it, my friend. I like the creativity. I like it. So we're an advertising agency. We manage the brands of a lot of businesses. We produced a new campaign for a client that we really enjoy working with, Dominion Custom Homes and John Kerber. It's featuring Chris. We have one of those spots ready to go. Judah?
Yeah.
Here's one of the commercials I directed, I think it was last week, for Dominion Custom Homes. I very much enjoy directing TV spots and creating commercials, radio commercials, writing scripts, helping produce audio-visual branding elements. That's what we do. That's what I Love CVille and V&V Brands is. We're an advertising agency. We are known for this network and this show because we bring good content to you, but what we do is an advertising agency. This is one of the 3 new commercials you will see running on NBC 29, HGTV, across social media, and into 5 zip codes strategically targeted in the Northern Virginia market. This is the I Love CVille show. My name is Jerry Miller. Judah, cue that up. 3, 2, 1.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm here in this gorgeous kitchen built by Dominion Custom Homes in the Prophet Ridge neighborhood. I absolutely love the countertops in this kitchen with the pantry, the chalkboard door, and double ovens, beautiful white backsplash. And just off of the kitchen is a gorgeous breakfast nook where you can spend time having meals with your family. And I really love the open concept. Dominion Custom Homes makes building your dream home a reality, and they make the process so easy. Contact Dominion Custom Homes today.